Good morning. This is Amy Englemark, and you are joining for the Make Bold Moves August Masterclass series. If you don't know me yet, I am an expert in stress management and income growth. So I primarily work with entrepreneurs who are wanting to avoid burnout and grow their business or a new revenue stream with energy, joy, and more free time. I also work with the healthcare system and in the financial sector, helping to increase engagement, retention, profit, all those good things with my same skill sets. For today's class, it's called the LEAP Plan, and it's building on three master classes that this group has been learning about. So the LEAP plan will create structure for you to take action on the idea that you may have been putting off. And we all need structure. We all need a sense of organization as a foundation to stand on to leap from into the unknown. And as entrepreneurs, we need to know, we need to have some form of stability because when we're creating change and breaking new ground, it can feel unstable and shaky. So today is all about building that strong foundation to leap from. And I'm going to be sharing stories with you and principles that have worked, strategies that have worked for me and my clients to grow income with much more ease and lightness so that you enjoy the process and you can stick to the activities that really move the needle in your income and in your impact in so many people's lives. So why don't you, if you're joining me live, I see that there are some people joining live. Would you let me know in the chat what you're most looking forward to learning about and what feels like your biggest challenge right now when it comes to leaping, taking action? What's the biggest challenge that seems to be an obstacle or creates hesitation? That would be really great to hear from you. So I'll share with you today what it means to me to be brave. We're going to start there because when we leap, we need to be brave and courageous. So I want to help you today get brave and take courageous action, get focused instead of feeling stretched thin, overwhelmed, and distracted. Focus in on the high ROI activities, and then get into action and overcome any sense of hesitation or procrastination. I'll share with you my 3x3 framework that helps me stay focused and what helps me maintain a brave mindset and actions on a daily, day-to-day. And then what helps me keep up my momentum and my progress by taking consistent action. So let's look at what helps me be brave. And I'd like you, this is a great opportunity for you to start taking notes. I find that when I take notes, it's really helpful for my learning. So if you're that type of person, grab your pen and paper or start typing on your computer. So getting brave, what does it take? We need to root into our reason for why we're taking action in the first place, why we're contemplating this change in our careers, why you might be looking at refreshing your professional life by doing something different, pivoting or making a change of some sort, bringing in a new revenue stream. The root of my reason has always been not money as my first priority, though that's a great reward. It's helping more people. And if you can ground yourself in your reason, then you're much more likely to stay on track and in action and motivated. Living more fully has always been part of my bigger reason. Making my life count, because I know that our days are numbered and I don't know when my last day will be. So if I'm not using my skill sets to help more people and living fully, giving myself the permission to live fully, then what am I doing? Right? Am I living with purpose? No. So I want to live with purpose. That grounds me and helps me get ready to take brave action. So let's look at the options. And this helps me get brave as well. The options we have every day, either to be brave or to be something else. Let's talk about what being brave looks like and what that something else option is. Because if we're not consciously choosing who we want to be every day, then the world chooses for us and we get disappointed and we have regrets. So I ask myself, do I want to be a timid person, a person who has small faith, small belief, lacks trust, a small thinker? Do I want to be the one who is always choosing safety, small impact? Do I want to keep making really good excuses for why I shouldn't take action yet, why now is not the right time? Do I want to keep stalling with those really great sounding excuses that seem so valid? Do I want to keep being stubborn and pushing my heels into the ground and unwilling to dip my toe into the water of possibility? That's what our option is. If we're choosing not to be brave, then what we're doing is we're choosing to be timid, but we need to be conscious of our choices. Otherwise, we're not being honest with ourselves and we're not being intentional with how we show up in the world. So that's one choice. Do I want to be timid or do I want to be brave? What does it look like to be brave? I ask myself these questions. Do I want to be a big anything is possible thinker? Do I want to be an optimistic thinker, a creative idea generator? Do I want to tap into creative levels of thinking? Do I want to have more fun, go on more adventures, be inspired? Then I need to take brave action. In order to make the big impact that my soul craves with my one life, then I can't play it safe, right? I can't prioritize safety over growth. I need to choose to trust instead of fear things or control outcomes, which is my human tendency. But my higher tendency means my higher option looks like choosing to be brave in the pursuit of my dreams, despite my feelings. It's definitely stirred up feelings of insecurity and fears to the surface, but that's a good thing because when our fears are bubbled up like chaff or like scum on the top of the water, we can see them and we can do something about them, right? We can deal with them and remove them and get on to making a difference with our skills in the world. So you need to ask yourself today and every day, how do I want to show up? Do I want to be brave despite what's going on in the periphery of my life? If so, then we need to leap. We need to take uncomfortable action and be willing to do hard things or invest energy and time into things and not be so impatient to see a result so quickly that we give up, right? So if this is landing for you, drop a little heart or a smiley face for me in the chat because it really gives me energy as a teacher when I'm showing up for you. So there's some structure for you to start getting brave. Ask yourself, root yourself in your reason, your bigger reason, not just income, but what does income represent for you, right? Income is a result for me of helping more people. Income means that I can have the freedom to go on more adventures, that my family can have more options, that I can have more space for creative projects that bring me joy and give back to the world. So root yourself in your reason and then choose who you will be. We always can choose, and that choice is really powerful. Am I going to be brave and pursue growth over safety? Or am I going to be timid and choose smallness and hiding over showing up for others? It's kind of like It's vulnerable, right? We're choosing to be vulnerable instead of this false sense of safety. I'm glad this is landing with you guys. Let's move on to the second point, getting focused. I want to help you get focused today. And so what that means is three things, you guys: removing distractions, creating priorities, and then setting boundaries to protect those priorities. Okay? Removing distractions, creating priorities, and setting boundaries to protect those priorities that are precious to you. So when you think of this leap that you want to make and the plan that creates structure for you to actually make the leap on a daily basis, some things are distractions, and the distractions actually keep us from taking action, and they create this warm, protective buffer from what we fear. So sometimes we cling to old ways of doing business or old ways of creating change because it gives us this sense of safety, right? But remember, you're not prioritizing safety anymore. You're prioritizing growth. And so I want you to write down some of the things you've been spending time on that, or put them in the chat. That would be really helpful for me to read. Some of the things that you're prioritizing that are actually distractions and they're not helping you move forward. They're the things that you tell yourself you need to do. They're those troublesome excuses that are eating up your time that you tell yourself, well, nobody else can do this, or they have to be done. And so you fill your time with other things instead of the very activities that would move the needle on this dream of professional growth, income growth, time freedom. Even if you can think of one of those distractions that's taking your mind and your time away from what really matters to you right now, drop that in the chat. And while you do, I'm going to share a story with you about some of the distractions that one of my clients, Sabrina, had that was holding her back from her dream. Let me read I saw that some of you were commenting. Okay, so Jodelle says one of her distractions is her paperwork. It's very time consuming, but she doesn't feel she can hand it over. And so maybe that's where the boundaries and deciding when enough is going to come into play and be helpful for you, Jodelle. All right, so Sabrina was very distracted when I first met her and overwhelmed and tired because it felt like all of her free time was consumed with work. And she wanted to spend more of it with family, and she wanted to have more of it just for play and relaxation for herself without feeling guilty, so she could actually enjoy the free time while her income increased. That's what her goals were that we worked on together. But her distractions were this sense that she needed to do all of these, pursue all of these ideas and work responsibilities every day, kind of like giving each her equal attention instead of narrowing down on what priorities were creating the biggest impact for her in alignment with her most important goals. So it's really getting nitpicky on what are my goals and what do I need to prioritize that really move the needle for me and make me happy and proud of myself and my work and my progress. So as we were working together, we narrowed down the activities like the marketing activities and the specific ways that she could create her messaging to align with the pain points of her ideal audience so that they felt like, wow, she really sees me and she has the solution that I've been looking for, tailoring her message to hit that sweet spot for people so that they could get helped by her. And then overcoming fears that stopped her from being as visible as she wanted to be. And what started happening is she refined her niche. She restructured her packages, the services that she offered people, and she got really clear on what she wanted, which freed up a lot of time because she wasn't spending it equally across the board on all of these business activities that she had been exuding, pouring her energy into. And now she was putting certain projects and prior commitments that had become obligations onto the back burner and choosing just her top 1 to 3 priorities that were work focuses and pouring her energy there. And she started really seeing results. In the first month, she increased her income by 5,000. And then she's been able to maintain that higher income by 30 to 40% of an increase prior to working together. So there's not big adjustments that you might need to make right now to in your what you're paying attention to. But the distractions are really what need your attention first. It's like, what are the things that are getting in the way and eating up my time that I tell myself I either need to take care of all by myself, or I need to do so much of it that it leaves no room for the higher priority activities right now that would make me feel like I'm making progress. And I can talk with you separately about what those distractions might be, and then what your top priorities of focus should be that will create greater returns for you. So distractions, removing distractions. And then the second point here in getting focused is creating your top priority list. So as entrepreneurs, our top priority should be relationship building. When we are when we're focusing on relationship building, what happens is our eyes get back onto the proper target, which is helping people, not making money. Making money is a result of helping people. Creating tools and programs and menus of your service to be able to meet specific needs for people. This is serving a specific population. And remember, your purpose isn't to solve the world's problems. It's much more powerful when you can pick a certain group of people and meet their need and become an expert in it instead of being a generalist. People look for experts, not generalists. So you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck if you start narrowing down who you serve and the problems that you help them overcome. So anyways, total side note, wasn't going to talk about that at all, but our priorities as entrepreneurs are to build relationships, to make offers, and let people know that we're there for them, and we're there for them specifically, not everyone. If we're not doing those things, what I see pulls people away from making career changes that would make them happier, free up their time, and increase their income is, one, the internal obstacles we talked about in class number 2, removing those internal obstacles that create hesitation and confusion. And 2, this sense that it's all up to me, this false sense that it's all up to me, which means that everything feels urgent and everything feels like a priority, and it feels like too much, like I've never done enough. And if you can relate to that, like I should do more, I haven't done enough, or the responsibilities that you're carrying right now as a leader or a business owner just feel heavy on your shoulders, then let me know in the chat. It would be interesting for me to hear if that hits home for you. The third area is setting boundaries. So once you've gotten clear on what your priorities are, they need to be protected, right? They're precious, precious uses of time. And boundaries require us to disappoint some people so that we can pursue the dream and make the leap. So let me talk about how one of my clients did that, how he set his priorities and learned how to disappoint some people so that he could pursue his own dream. We want to be liked by everyone. And so sometimes it's hard to disappoint people and get comfortable with that. But the goal shouldn't be to be liked by everyone. The The goal should be to listen to that inner nudge that's guiding us. Um, to me, that's God's voice, and take it seriously and be willing to be led into the unknown and make that the highest priority, fulfilling a purpose here on earth instead of being liked by everyone. That makes boundary setting a little bit more manageable. So, one of my clients was a contractor, and he wanted to get my help to identify his goals and the habits that were necessary to create the outcomes he wanted, which were better health and more income growth and a better mindset, because he was noticing he was worried too much, stressed too much, too many negative thoughts up there. And in a short amount of time, he saw such a happiness increase. And his personal life and business was really transformed. So, in his words, I remember him saying, I just want more free time in the daytime when I, quote, should be working. That's when I want to work out more. I want to go to the gym then. That's when I want to do like admin work for business, not on the weekends when I want to be with my kids, not in the evenings when I want to be with my kids. I want to break the mold of how business is done. And this is the type of entrepreneur and leader I love working with, because I'm a mold breaker. I'm a barrier breaker. I'm a change maker. And so are the clients that I work with. And so while we partnered together, we were able to identify what old thinking is getting in the way and repattern those thoughts so that they were empowering instead of self-limiting. And then he started to feel comfortable carving out time for himself in the daytime or in the evenings. See, he might disappoint children then sometimes because he'd need to be away for part of an evening as a single parent, but also honor himself and his health, knowing he showed up better as a parent when he did. And he also doubled his income, which was substantial. He needed to also disappoint a family member to break out of this mold of doing business, because it was a family operation. It's not burning bridges with people when we set boundaries. There's a way to set boundaries and protect our priorities and treat ourselves as though we equally matter and are important, just as the people in our personal lives and work lives are important to us as well. There's a way to maintain and even deepen our connection with the people that we care about in business and in family while we protect what's important to us, time for what's important to us. So I'm just going to read some of the comments here. Kelly, you were talking about distractions, that you fill up your day with daily tasks that don't need to actually be done or could be delegated, then freeing up time for priorities. Yeah, and we start to see what those daily tasks are that could be delegated when we slow down instead of thinking it's all up to me. That's definitely been a trap that I have fallen into, is this it's all up to me thinking, and I have to do it on my own. Instead of, I'd love to have some help. How could I have that help? How could I learn how to trust and see slowing down as a way of speeding up? How could I get results in my professional life with much more ease and also increase income at the same time? It's amazing when you start thinking bigger and asking yourself better questions. So let's move forward to my last point for today, which is getting into action. I told you I wanted to help you in 3 areas: get brave, get focused, and get into action to create this LEAP plan. So I use a 3x3 framework, which is 3 actions, 3 momentum trackers, and 3 supports. Okay, 3 times 3 every day. I need this, otherwise I get easily distracted and I lose track of what's going to move the needle for me and create the greatest change in the shortest amount of time, because I love speed. Don't we all? So practice patience while you enjoy speeding up progress. So actions. These are the steps that are in alignment with your big goal. So write down my big goal, right? This is going to be the big goal of your LEAP plan. And it's probably going to overlap between personal and professional. It always does. How can it not? But here on this masterclass series, we've been focusing on the career reset or the career change, the leap you want to make so that you can grow your income, your free time, and do it with more ease and energy. So the three actions that I could take today, the 3x3 framework, what we're diving into right now, that are going to move me to my goal as quickly as possible. Remember, we're focusing on what relationships need to be built. How can I find those people? Where do they spend the most of their time? How can I speak to the right person instead of waste my time by speaking to someone who's not a decision maker, who doesn't have control of the purse strings, who doesn't have access to the budget? And then how can I speak their language so that they see me as the right person to help? And they feel like, oh, I belong with that person because she speaks my language, right? Learning how to speak to the results that they want versus the results you think they want is really important. So the three actions could be reaching out to build a relationship in new ways. They could be marketing yourself, testing out a new way of marketing yourself that you haven't tried before. That's instead of pushing a rock up a hill, it feels energizing and even enjoyable and fun, possibly. Maybe the action is making an uncomfortable call or setting a boundary with your spouse or with how much time you spend uh, playing instead of doing deep work. Maybe it's a boundary you set so that you can have 1 or 2 hours doing deep work. And believe me, if you've heard me teach before, I totally stand for play. And I say, protect the heck out of your rest. But sometimes we can use play and social commitments as a way of avoiding the deep work because change feels scary and uncertain. So why wouldn't we subconsciously try and avoid it sometimes, right? So just try and catch yourself. So those are some ideas for actions that would move the needle forward from my perspective, but I would brainstorm with you if I was having a one-to-one session for what actions would move the needle forward towards your goal, because I would find out more about your situation, what internal hangups you have that create hesitation and procrastination. And then I would suggest some daily activities that would likely include some perspective shift that you would practice daily so that you weren't avoiding these high ROI activities. So maybe in the chat, can you put some activities that would move the needle for you, that would help you move closer more quickly to your big goal? They might even seem too small, but maybe an idea popped up when I was giving you some of my suggestions. So the second point in the 3x3 framework is the momentum. You want to track from the actions that you prioritize that day or that week, what actually is starting to create momentum. Because you don't want to be taking actions that aren't producing results. Sometimes when you plant a seed, it might take 90 days to start demonstrating that it's creating momentum. So what I do with my clients is we have ways of tracking so that you can see your progress. And that gives you hope and optimism and energy to keep doing the work. Some seeds mature more quickly and turn into plants and fruit for you to enjoy, the fruit of your labor. That process is shorter. Sometimes it's longer, so we need to develop that patience. So track what's working. That's the 3 momentum trackers. And I have a sheet if you'd like for tracking your actions. The third 3x3 in the framework is support. So this is super important. If I don't have support in my life, spiritual support, community support, a mentor, someone to keep me accountable, a coach, then I'm way less likely to follow through on my best intentions. I don't know about anyone else, but when I have my support systems, then watch out. I am going to knock my socks off. God will help me make progress because I'm grounded in the truth. I am consistent in my actions. Someone's following up with me. So those are my suggestions for supports that you can lean on every week. We don't want to try and make progress by ourselves. It's going to be so much more challenging and tiring. I have done it. I don't recommend it. So what you can do is decide for yourself what will be my supports this week and what will be my supports every week, or do I have the supports that I need? Do I have someone who can help me think bigger, strategize more effectively, stay on track? If not, find that person. Do I have the spiritual connection that I want so that I can feel grounded and supported internally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally? If not, you can get curious and creative and find ways to deepen that spiritual relationship or connection. Do I have the support from a community who is up to doing big things in the world? And I feel like their momentum, I can borrow their beliefs sometimes when I don't have enough belief for myself, be inspired by their progress when I am not where they're at yet. I can be lifted up by it. What supports do you want for yourself? Where are you lacking? Where could you lean on a support more fully? So Kelly, you said your 3 actions: make the first contact to my new clients, find resources to increase my knowledge, allocate time daily, even a small amount for learning. Yeah. And you're hitting the great points, Kelly. You're hitting a really important point with that last statement, even if it's for 15 minutes at the beginning. Is there really another way to make progress except for steps? Like sometimes we make a leap, but most of the time we're taking small steps. And sometimes we don't want to take small steps because they feel inconsequential, but they're not. They're progress every step, right? And every step requires trust. When the step feels so small, that's our opportunity to lean in and trust that it's not all up to me and that things are working together behind the scenes for my good. I'm being supported. That's such a strong foundational belief of mine and really helpful for me when I feel like I'm not seeing progress as soon as I'd like to. Let me give you an example of another client of mine who got into action by changing his mindset. And this happens a lot for my clients. They're not aware that their mindset is holding them back from taking action. And we work on strategy, we create action plans and more structure to have a solid foundation to leap from. But if you leave out investigating any mindsets that could be problematic, then you can take all these beautiful, effective, proven actions that have worked for other people and they don't work for you. And it's really frustrating because you haven't dealt with roots that are tying you to like a hot air balloon, like ropes tying you to the ground. And you can only rise up a certain level, but you keep getting stuck there. It's usually because there's a mindset that needs shifting. So one of my clients was a coach, a trainer, a speaker, um, a professor at an educational institution, and he wanted to help more people. He really wanted to make a bigger impact, but he was not putting himself out there. He really detested how a lot of people marketed themselves, and he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put myself out there like I see some people doing it. If that's what it takes, I just will deny myself of my dream of helping more people. And I hear a lot of people say that. The way that other people build business is so out of alignment with my values that I'm just not going to put myself out there, make myself available and visible. So, this man also felt very uncomfortable charging what he wanted to for his services. He didn't see his services as valuable as they were, as transformative as they were for clients. And so he resisted even looking at adjusting his rates. And if you resist adjusting your rates, and this doesn't apply to all fields of work, but for a lot of the business owners that I work with, they can't achieve their lifestyle goals. They can't live in alignment with and use time for what they prioritize most and value most in life because they're looking at this exchange of money from a very limited perspective. So we change the money mindset. And that's what I did with this man. We adjusted how he thought about money, how he viewed himself, and then learned strategies from me of how to have conversations about money so that his clients were being educated and they made an informed decision about what they wanted for their future and decided for themselves if the value that he could help them create was worth the investment and if they believed they were worth investing in. So the decision became all up to the client instead of my client, this man, feeling like he was pressuring or pressuring them to make a decision or feeling sleazy or weird about sales conversations. So he changed a lot of negative thoughts and feelings shifted about marketing, and he learned a new authentic way of marketing that really worked for him, which means what? He's going to take action, right? There's nothing standing in his way anymore. So he learned how to better communicate the value that he delivered. People started happily paying him higher rates, which he was ecstatic about. And new doors for company training and speaking opportunities opened for him. So it all becomes this trickle effect and this snowball effect. When you work on the internal, the external starts shifting, and your habits in your work life follow suit in alignment with these new mindset shifts. He was not needing to set new boundaries. He actually, and this might be true for you, needed to remove some boundaries that weren't like the wall of China, right? He had the wall of China stopping him from putting himself out there and building relationships in his authentic way. And you might as well. So, are there boundaries that I need to remove that are stopping me from growing instead of boundaries that I need to set to protect my precious priorities? So that is it for today. We covered getting brave, getting focused, and getting into action with my 3x3 framework. If you're wanting more help, I'm opening up a program called the Passion to Profit program, and I offer it every couple of years, sometimes yearly, but I didn't offer it last year, and I'm really happy to offer it this year. And it's just open for 7 days. and then enrollment closes next Monday night at midnight. So I'm happy to share with you what it's all about. There's bonuses, really fun bonuses for the first 10 people who join. I'm going to be sharing a signed copy of my book. I'm going to send it to you in the mail, or I can give it to you in person, depending on where you live. There will be a one-to-one 60-minute strategy session with me, and we can dive deep into the structure and the action plan for speeding up progress to your goal much more quickly. I have the whole PDF outline and of the program ready to send you if you'd like to learn, like how it works, the outcomes that you can expect. But I'll share with you quickly before we close the call and open up for discussion today, what we're going to be diving into, the main themes. And then then we'll open up for live coaching if any of you would like live coaching. So the program focuses on sales, communicating your offers with confidence. I give you simple scripts. Just one sec. Sometimes family happens. My son just walked by. So we dive into sales. So how do we communicate the offers with confidence? I give you simple scripts and ways to handle objections people have with a lot more ease. And then mindset. So how do we replace limiting beliefs? How do you align your habits with those new beliefs to produce more wealth and confidence and joy? Marketing strategies is the third theme we cover, which are, well, what is my authentic way of being visible? What's my way of reaching people with the most ease so that you enjoy doing it and you actually implement those actions? And then we have three more areas. One is pricing. A lot of my clients want help pricing out their services or their products. And the way that they're doing it means that they're stretched thin for time and energy, and they're not valuing the results that they create for clients, and therefore their clients don't pay them. One, because they don't ever ask for that rate, and two, because they don't believe they're worth it. So we're not attracted to someone who has low self-confidence and doesn't believe their service is valuable and can change lives. We're not going to buy from them, right? So we have to change that. The other topic that I cover is packaging your offers. So how do we create an easy way to get started with you? A middle of the road, this is like your second tier, and then your high ticket offer. So people have choices and they don't feel like, well, there's just one way of working with so and so, and that's not right for me, so I can't work with her. You want to give them choices. And then, of course, you need to know, this is the last category that we talk about in the program. What is my client roadmap? So where do I find people? And what are my steps for them to start working with me? When you have that clearly mapped out, then you can use it for every person, and you're not confused and wasting time and energy thinking about what's my next step for this person, and then what's the next step. It's like you're going to the theme park and you're going to go on a series of rides together, but you're always trying to think, oh, what do we go on next? Where do I take them next? It's already pre-planned, and you know where to find them, how to speak their language. So we're going to be meeting weekly for 8 weeks. It's an 8-week program, and we start September 24th, and there's two options for working with me. One is just the group, and then one offers you multiple bonuses plus this private session with me. And a couple cool bonuses that I have for everyone who joins, the first 10 people who join, is let me see here what I have called it. Um, Yeah, I've created this checklist that I find really helpful for my brain to focus. It's called the High ROI Time Use and Priorities Checklist. So it's really helped me decrease overwhelm and save time, increase income. So that's one of the bonuses for the first 10. And the other one is a list of abundant money mindsets that have really helped me shape a new way of looking at and relating to money. And uh, it's really helped me increase my income, but keep my brain and body relaxed in the process of professional growth. And that's really important because we can build money from this place of nervousness or lack or fear. But these mindsets have helped me create calmness and confident expectation while I work, which is just like gold. So let's open it up for live coaching. If anyone would like a laser coaching session, or if you have questions, or maybe you want to share a top insight, feel free to unmute everyone and share your screen if you can.
Hi, Amy. It's Jodelle here.
Hi.
Hi. It's interesting because as soon as you said that removing boundaries piece, I realized that over the last, and I'd like to just get your thoughts on this. I've actually just I've come to the realization that I need to remove my striving for balance because that's just not the way I'm built. I like to get obsessed with things. I like to be all in, and then I like to pull back and kind of like hunker down and just be up on my own and to, get and then again like find something else that I'm really passionate about and then really drive forward with that. And so I think letting go of this idea that I need to have balance or find balance is actually been really freeing. And as soon as you said remove boundaries, I was like, oh yeah, where else in my life can I maybe let go of the thought that I need to have these guardrails up? So yeah, just kind of your thoughts on that.
Um, well, I think that it's great that you noticed there's a mindset that stops you from working the way that you work best. And that with, I'd like to hear more about it, Jodelle, because as we are working together already, I know that about you. I know that you work really well when you're focusing on one thing, and most of us do. And we have this kind of skewed perspective on what balance needs to look like instead of what balance makes me happy or what success means to me. So I'd like to hear more about that from you. What kind of balance, what does balance look like for you, especially in relationship to what success is to you? And I think we should probably talk about that one to one soon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess I just had this because I filled out this wheel of life a couple years ago. And so I saw that a couple of my buckets were like empty. So I guess I just always had this thought in my mind that all the buckets needed to be filled up at the same level all the time. But yeah, I don't know why this was just such like an aha moment for me, but I think I'm realizing that I don't need to have all the levers pulled at the same time to the same degree. And I think yeah, just like throwing it out there and seeing if that way of thinking, I know this is going to be silly, but like is correct or like, just get some validation that that way of thinking is can actually be healthy and like, yeah, we don't necessarily need to strive for balance, but
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I find in these opportunities where you're looking at a mindset shift and seeing how can it serve me, to consider how you may have been using a certain metaphor for life that isn't serving you anymore. It kind of sounds like if I keep all of the pie slices or the levers or levels in my wheel of life equal, then everything will be okay. It kind of sounds almost like one, then you're constantly trying to achieve something that's unachievable. So frustrating. And two, you're not really tapping into what does success look like for me right now. It's almost like you're using a metaphor of walking on a tightrope. Like, oh, I have to keep everything in balance, which means I'm always doing this, versus life is like a dance, right? When I'm done teaching this class, I'll touch in with my, like, this is my life today. I'll touch in with my family, and I will get exercise in before my next call. And then I might do deep work for an hour or in the afternoon for a couple of hours in preparation for another project I have going on. That's more like life is a dance, and every day I can get my needs met, but in different like intensities, if that makes sense. What do you think about that, Jodelle?
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I feel like I'll go like 2 months or like even 4 or 5 months where I'll go to the gym, but I go like super hardcore and I'll go tons and then I won't go for the rest of the year. And then I will like be really active on social media, like on my ex account for like, 5 or 6 months, and then I won't touch it for months. So instead of like mine looking like a day, it ends up looking like over the course of the year, I add to the buckets, but only in like a few months at a time stints.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think like letting go of the notion that I have to have it like a healthy dose of a few things. It's like I like to just like overdose on a few things and then on one thing and then switch to something else.
Mm-hmm. Um, I like one sec here. Um, we can explore this more when we talk next, but one thing that's coming up for me that might be helpful for you, Jodelle, is um, if you're noticing, well, I like my work ethic like that. I like to be all in for a couple months on something. But when I'm all out, I'm not quite sure if I like the all out feeling. Then I would insert some different ways of incorporating, like Kelly was talking about, incorporating small opportunities for growth in those areas so that you can meet the need in much easier ways, instead of those other buckets being totally disregarded when you're all in on one topic or one focus.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a really good way to put it. It's almost like I have a bucket of the thing I'm passionate about, but I'm still sipping out of the teacups of like the small things to keep them still like burning, right? Keep those embers kind of just simmering in the background. Yeah, that was really great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, keeping that you've got one main bonfire and little baby bonfires. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, sipping out of chugging the passion bucket and sipping out of the teacups. That's great. Okay, top insight for everyone, and maybe top question just to leave yourself with to let simmer for yourself. Or maybe you have just one top question or top insight. And let me know. I'm booking out like that enrollment for that program that I'm offering in September, starting September 24th. It's only open for 7 days, and the bonuses are only for the first 10 people who enroll. So if you want to have a call with me to discuss if it's the right fit for you, I'll tell you right away if I don't feel like it's appropriate for you and helpful, and you'll be able to know as well. And I'm opening up space between now and Friday for those calls because I need a couple days on the weekend to onboard people into the program before the closing date on Monday night. So let me know if you'd like that time with me and that support so that we can move your dreams forward. Thanks so much for joining me on these calls. It's been awesome to be a part of your life and to share what's helped me and my clients move forward. I hope it's been super valuable for you. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you all better and hopefully seeing some of you in the program.